You're good. Do that. I'm going to pull up the Xbox Wire article on this while you're doing that.
Great. Already recording. Here we go. Live. Here we are. Josh Finney, Corey Deering, live. Arsenal X, sort of. Yeah, Josh and I are here. We're going to talk about the Microsoft, the big news today that we did not cover on the podcast that actually posts tomorrow. Microsoft has purchased ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks, for $7.5 billion. This was kind of a story that I was at work this morning trying to figure out some stuff, and all of a sudden I get a bunch of Twitter notifications, and it's just Josh like, oh my God, Microsoft just bought Bethesda. I'm like, what? And then I looked through the Twitter feed. I'm like, this can't be real. And I was like, it's real. It happened. So,
Yeah, man, that was a heck of a news article to wake up to. I actually thought it was completely fake.
yeah,
I had to double check. It broke about 7:15, 7:30 ish Central Time, I think.
yeah,
It took me a few minutes to process it, and then when I scrolled through my feed, I skipped it initially. I skipped the actual press release, and then I saw Jason Schreier's post, and I was like, "Oh crap!" Jason actually wrote this like 15 minutes before it happened.
yeah.
So that's how I knew it was absolutely real. Like when Jason Schreier is tweeting it out, like it's completely real. It's not a joke. Holy shit, man. So I want to go through this real fast. I broke down earlier what Microsoft now owns in terms of franchises. And if I can ever get to, God dang it, my laptop is giving me problems right now.
It happens.
So
This is it. Nobody's in. I'm the only one in a normal setup right now. So it's
yeah, I'm sitting on the spare room bed right now, my dad's house. So RPG franchises that Xbox now owns include Fable, Avowed, Pillars of Eternity, Wasteland, The Outer Worlds, Elder Scrolls Online, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Starfield. And then Grounded, depending on if you count that as an RPG. That is 10 franchises. That's 10 franchises.
yeah,
That's 10, all of which, with the exception of Fallout, have a game either in development or has just come out. Shooter franchises now owned by them include Halo, Gears, Doom, Wolfenstein, and Prey. And then on top of that, of course, you have Deathloop coming. You have Ghostwire Tokyo. You have Dishonored. This is bonkers. I've never seen anything like this. You have the mobile games in Fallout Shelter, Elder Scrolls Blades, Elder Scrolls Legends. This is the biggest gaming acquisition of all time. It's not even a contest. There's nothing else. That's
yeah.
this big.
I was trying to think of like if anything like this has ever happened, and like not even close to this, but the closest thing I could think of was like a Rare being sold to Microsoft, right? Like that was like the last
Right.
time I
And that,
remember
that
like
was
a
huge in
huge,
2003, and that was definitely like that sent shockwaves.
or like EA buying
BioWare,
BioWare.
Bungie leaving Microsoft, and like Insomniac being officially picked up by Sony. But I think all of those combined, I don't know if they measure the industry impact of this announcement today.
Yeah,
This
because
doesn't just change the Xbox portfolio. This changes the entire landscape of the whole industry instantaneously.
it's not just they're buying studios, they're buying a publisher, like a whole
Yeah,
publishing arm. That'd be like it's like to give people perspective, it'd be like them buying EA or Activision also. I mean, granted, Bethesda's
the
not that
best
big, but
comparison I can make is this is obviously on a smaller scale, but this is similar to Disney buying Fox.
mhm,
They acquired all of those studios and the distribution arm.
yeah.
This is nothing short of massive. We don't know exact details right now. The immediate question people had was, "Oh my God, does this mean that Elder Scrolls and Fallout are exclusive?" I guess break that down real quick. The long and short of it is Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 will continue unimpeded. They will not be yanked from PlayStation at all. They will continue to receive all content, all DLC, all updates.
Mhm,
Great. The Minecraft precedent is in play here.
mhm,
Uh, I think when it comes to something that's already, and they've already confirmed, Phil Spencer himself confirmed this morning that Deathloop and Ghostwire will still get their timed exclusivity on PS5.
mhm.
They will not nullify that agreement. He's going to allow those to proceed. So you have the precedent set by Outer Worlds, Psychonauts 2, Wasteland, all those. The big question does become now, though, and it's kind of the one that everyone's avoiding talking about in a way, is Elder Scrolls 6 going to be exclusive? Um, The smart money is that I personally think it will end up being a timed exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first 6 months, maybe a year, maybe until all the DLC is out, it's going to be only on Xbox. And then when they put it on PS5, hey, you get all the DLC with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do a Game of the Year edition or something. I think that is the most likely scenario. And Phil has said that games that are already in development, that have already been announced, we are going to honor those agreements, like we did with the Outer Worlds, like we did with Wasteland and Psychonauts and all those.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they will all come to Game Pass day one for both Xbox and PC, and then they will evaluate on a game by game basis if they come to other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a nice way of saying we may do some pet projects for PSVR, kind of like Minecraft VR,
Mm-hmm.
or we might give you something a couple years down the line. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's safe
Or
to assume.
like Elder Scrolls goes multi-plat, and Starfield stays exclusive or something.
Yeah, I think Starfield is the other one that's obviously the one that's got people talking right now, right? Because that's been the long in development new IP, first new IP since Elder Scrolls from Bethesda,
Mm-hmm.
and Imran Khan broke this story earlier that he broke it about an hour after this news. I saw it just as I was getting on the road. In fact, that as recently as this summer, Sony was still trying to acquire exclusivity, even if it was just timed, for Starfield for PS5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the safe money is that probably still comes to PlayStation, but any sequels would not.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think I think that's going to be a case where, hey, if you want to play it for like the first 4 to 6 months, you better pick up an Xbox or a PC.
Mm-hmm.
That if I was Microsoft, that's what I'd be doing at least.
This made pre-ordering this box tomorrow just that much more like.
Yeah, I was already stressed out when I woke up this morning because I just started seeing Twitter notifications and I was like, oh god, did something happen? Oh god.
I just got one from Wario64 that product pages are up, and I'm like, yeah. Oh god, oh no.
This was, and I mean, to his credit, Jesse kind of called something was going to happen last night. He didn't call this, for the record, but when you listen to the show, he's going to say, I wouldn't be shocked to see something happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
To hype everybody up for ordering this box. I talked with our good friend of the show, Ray Apollo, earlier, and me and him we were flabbergasted. We talked about 5-6 hours after this broke, and we just didn't know what to say. So the immediate ramifications are existing games are staying where they are. Corey, what do you think with these studios? Is it time for Xbox to put their money where their mouth is and not be the franchise box anymore, and like let Doom, because Doom's had 2 stellar titles this generation, and Wolfenstein has had 3 good ones and 1 title. Is it time to let those set aside for a while and do some brand new IPs?
I think, to me, I feel like since they acquired the whole publishing arm and it's kind of come out, and Bethesda's going to keep their branding, and it's going to kind of be adjacent to Xbox Game Studios. Not to say that Xbox isn't going to be publishing these. You're going to see an Xbox Game Studios splash screen, but you're also going to see a Bethesda Softworks branding on all the games and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Microsoft's going to force them to do things that they don't want to do, right? Like I think Wolfenstein 3 is well into development at this point. I think it is going to be working on something different. I think like as well as Doom Eternal did, I don't know if it got the same kind of positive reception the way that Doom 2016 did.
So Doom Eternal is kind of an interesting pickle because it got amazing critical reception. It didn't quite do the sales, and it's kind of been determined that because it literally launched like a week into COVID-19 quarantine, may have affected it. It came out literally the exact same time Animal Crossing did.
Mm-hmm.
But it still sold really well. They still said it outsold 2016 Doom.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the campaign DLCs, obviously. I think that if you were to put a franchise on hold, I think it's Doom.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see, and I don't know if it'll come back. I don't know if the world really wants it right now, but I would love to see a next gen iteration of Quake.
Mm-hmm. You don't think Quake Champions is that?
Well, so I was about to get to Quake Champions. I actually think Quake Champions is going to come to Xbox now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see them being like, "Hey, here's a free-to-play multiplayer game that we can now publish exclusively on ours." Like, why would we? I mean, they could always dump that on PlayStation too and be like, "Hey, we get the money from the microtransactions, just like the Elder Scrolls Crown Store or the Atom Shop."
Hmm.
Because those are things that like whales purchase things like crazy in those two games. Whether you like Elder Scrolls Online or Fallout 76 or not, that will immediately start paying off parts of this gigantic bill. But I mean, a couple mega hits from Bethesda and that bill is paid anyways.
Hmm.
That's why I think that Elder Scrolls is going to be a full-on exclusive because they're going to want that Elder Scrolls 6 money.
Hmm.
Skyrim's like the eighth best-selling game ever made because it's been on every platform. That's probably the biggest positive of all this is that we're never going to get another Elder Scrolls 5 remaster or re-release.
Hmm. I think I think the biggest thing from all this actually is like you could still put all these games on other platforms, but all these games are coming to Game Pass now. And
So
to me, that's the kicker. Is like
if you're paying $7.5 billion though, there is no way that you're paying that much money. This was my point to people earlier when they were like, "Oh, well, I just don't know. I don't know if they'll make Fallout or Elder Scrolls exclusive." I'm like, man, I don't either. But all I'm saying is, if I'm Phil Spencer and I'm making that decision, I'm going to let a game like Ghostwire go to another console. I'm paying that 7.5 billion for the talent, for the people, for the leadership, but I'm also paying it to make sure that Elder Scrolls and Fallout are Xbox only games for forever.
hmm.
I absolutely am making sure of that. Um, some crazy speculation I was seeing earlier is like, well, is this going to drive up the valuation of WB Games if WB decides to sell it? I think absolutely. I think this changes the market for acquisitions forever. I think it's going to be much harder to acquire a studio now, especially for Microsoft.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's funny. This all but kills the Bungie rumor, but it also like kind of feasibly keeps it in play a little bit.
Hmm.
Because Microsoft was willing to spend this for them, but they weren't willing to spend what Bungie was asking. So it's like, what was Bungie asking?
Yeah, for real.
But with them owning id, Arcane, and Machine Games now, I don't think they want to acquire a fifth FPS studio.
Yeah.
I think it'll be what we talked about last week. If they do anything, it'll be either a huge content deal for Destiny or it'll be Matter.
Yeah.
The more immediate ramifications, I think, are I kind of want to approach this on the PlayStation side. There's no way to sugarcoat this. This sucks. This absolutely sucks. It's unfortunately the downside of an acquisition. I mean, nobody really batted an eye when Microsoft grabbed Compulsion or In Exile. Like, those are studios that were already in trouble. No one really cared about those games. I mean, who really liked We Happy Few? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
How many console gamers were really playing Wasteland 2?
Yeah.
Not a lot, I'm going to guess. But when they acquired Obsidian and Double Fine, and I think to an extent Ninja Theory, like, heads kind of turned and they were like, okay, well, those are interesting moves. But those are studios that were financially struggling. This is the first one where they weren't struggling. But Andy McNamara and Andrew Reiner, both of Game Informer, one formerly the editor-in-chief, the other the current editor-in-chief, Reiner said that he heard years ago that Bethesda was looking for a new publisher. And he's like, I didn't think all of ZeniMax would go to Xbox, though. And Andy McNamara said he's heard for ages that ZeniMax was looking to enter into a deal. And they finally got it. I frankly think that this deal sucks for PlayStation gamers, but I would caution you against overreacting and being like the sky is falling. We don't know what Microsoft is going to do here because they now balance a delicate act of they don't want to piss off an entire fan base because they still like to sell games and microtransactions to them, but they also don't want to piss off their entire Game Pass, PC, and Xbox fan bases as well, which is much more important to keep happy.
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, Elder Scrolls 6 is probably multi-plat, even if it's just timed exclusive to Xbox, and Fallout 5 becomes a full-on exclusive.
Yeah.
Because I think Elder Scrolls makes you infinitely more money than Fallout. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But like Todd Howard and Pete Hines both said in their statements, the relationship with Microsoft goes back to when Microsoft proposed bringing Morrowind to the Xbox. And they're like, that game's never going to work. This is a PC game. And after that, the relationship really never let up. I literally said, I think 2 weeks ago, that I was like, man, it's a shame that relationship soured. I may have even said it last night, frankly. I don't remember. I said it on a recent episode of Arsenal X, where I was like, it's kind of cool that they have Avowed. They have their answer with that in the Outer Worlds. They have their answer to Elder Scrolls and Fallout. And Well, now it's kind of funny that all the original creators of Fallout and the original studios are all under Microsoft.
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because like,
so
that's why Wasteland exists, right? Because like
yeah,
they wanted to make a Fallout game, and
well,
well,
so yeah, and that's interesting because so Wasteland precludes Fallout, but Wasteland 2 is because they wanted to do In Exile wanted to do their own Fallout,
yeah,
and they could. So that's why you got 2 and 3. And I saw people being like, "Oh my god, I want a Fallout game in the style of Wasteland." I'm like, "You already have that. It's called Wasteland 3.
yeah.
Like you literally have Fallout." I wouldn't be surprised to see those universes exist together down the line, through some weird trickery. I mean, I'm sure you could rewrite those to be together at some point. Just do some, I don't know, something wacky.
Yeah.
But we talked about this briefly in the group chat, and I kind of want to ask you if there were any Xbox owned properties that you would like to see these studios work on in the future, because I think this does open the avenue for fresh talent to take a hit at some of these franchises.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that honestly came to mind was like, okay, they tried to introduce a new Spartan team in Halo 5, right? And it didn't really work because you numbered a Halo 5 and you numbered a Halo game and didn't make Master Chief the star.
Yeah.
What if Machine Games took a stab at Fireteam Osiris and what they were doing, before Halo 5, or do some sort of like ODST style game in there, really focus on the characters, really focus on the story, give it, maybe since they're like Spartan 4s, you can make them feel a little bit faster, make them feel a little bit more unique.
I like that you mentioned Machine Games here because I had the same thought, but give Halo to id.
Really? What?
Give the entire franchise, take it away from 343 after Halo Infinite and hand it to id Software. Put Doom on ice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it needs to work on Doom, but my first thought was like, Machine Games is so good with making ridiculous characters, more relatable, right? Like BJ Blazkowicz is like a really stupid character, but they made him work, right?
I think I only say id because they're used to the super soldier deal. And I mean, I personally like the level design in Doom better. And I think that's something that Halo sorely lacks. But I do agree, like the narrative team of Machine Games is better in my opinion. I think that would be really cool. My thought was maybe it doesn't make another Doom right away, but the Coalition or 343 takes a stab at a Doom tactics game.
I mean, that'd be cool. How would
that
you?
Was something I thought of that I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my first thought was like, give the Doom Marine Cog and Master Chief armor to run around Doom Eternal in.
So I had a friend ask me. He goes, he says, how long until Microsoft has a fighter now with all of their characters, or has like an arena hero shooter or something?
Yeah, I saw that floating around too.
And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't. That would feel kind of cheap to me, but I would love to see maybe a next gen Killer Instinct with Master Chief, Arbiter, Doom Guy, BJ Blazkowicz.
Well, I mean, you could turn Quake Champions into that essentially, right? Like you could have like the Quake characters, but then you could also have like, Master Chief and Doom Guy and
I like
Marcus
it, like
Phoenix and stuff.
You unlock, maybe you unlock characters or like skins. Like you can either buy them, or hey, if you played like their latest game, you can get them. Queen Mira in there. Coltrane, like, God, dude, if Cole's not in a game like that, what are we even doing here?
Right.
I think the possibilities are endless, and to me, this acquisition makes an awful lot of sense. It would be the equivalent I drew earlier. It would be like if Sony announced that they acquired Square Enix. I don't think any of us would be shocked by. I mean, we'd be shocked, obviously, but we'd be like, well, that makes sense. Like when you think Final Fantasy, you think Kingdom Hearts, you think Dragon Quest, you think all these, you inherently think of PlayStation. And I'm going to be presumptuous here, when you think of Elder Scrolls and you think of a console, you think of Xbox.
I mean, I think of Morrowind on Xbox. I think of Oblivion at 360, right? Like, I mean, that's just,
You just think of that. And that's why it was so weird to me when and I want to be really clear. Like, I think that Sony paying for the timed exclusivity of Deathloop and Ghostwire likely saved those projects from being canceled, and frankly may have kept Arcane from being closed down.
Yeah.
Um, those are studios we know were in really rough places. By far, to me, the biggest winners of this deal are Arcane and
Tango.
Tango. Yeah, I always forget. I just call it Shinji Mikami Studio.
Yeah.
Those are by far the biggest winners because I think it ensures that they're relatively smaller IPs that were critically acclaimed but didn't do well. Dishonored, The Evil Within,
Prey.
Yeah, those three especially. Like, I think Deathloop is a one-off. Like, Deathloop just screams Game Pass game to me, which is fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think Ghostwire has the possibility to be something awesome, but Phil finally got his he got his Japanese studio. It just cost him $7.5 billion to get it.
Yeah, like
and it was an in-house horror studio too, with one of the greatest horror minds ever.
Yeah, that's like the big thing to me is like they have a horror game now, and like so many people have. I mean, at least within our community, it was like, when is Xbox going to do their own horror game? And like, yeah, Blair Witch wasn't a timed exclusive on Game Pass, and like, there's a couple other things, but like now Tango could do a pretty bigger budgeted Evil Within 3, and like now that's on Game Pass. They don't have to worry about sales. They need to worry about engaged users instead. Like,
yeah. And I think that especially if they make these games available day and date on Steam, like I see people be like, "Oh, how are they going to possibly make money? Like, doesn't Game Pass lose the money?" It's like, no, it's called list your games on Steam. Like, not every PC player wants Game Pass. In fact, very few I've talked to actually want it. They just want to buy the games they want. They ran out and bought Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
They bought Gears Tactics. Like, if you already have it for your Xbox, cool. Like, you have Game Pass Ultimate then. But
yeah,
I've seen plenty of people buy those. Like, Crusader Kings is on PC Game Pass, and 2 SKUs of it are in the top 10 and have been for the last month.
Yeah,
on the Steam. It's like your games can still succeed if they're on Game Pass. And I think that's crucial for Microsoft's strategy.
And I don't think Microsoft cares because they're getting that money anyway. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, this was a knockout move. This was a kill shot. I don't have my headphones, but pretend I have my conspiracy headphones on.
Just put them on. Just put them on. There you go.
I think that this was meant to be part of the Xbox Series S reveal event.
Yeah.
Originally, it was scrapped last week. I have no idea how this didn't leak. Bethesda and Microsoft are both so leaky. I have to think that maybe only the studio heads knew about this and like senior VPs.
Yeah.
At both companies. I have to assume not a single journalist was tipped off to this. Everybody woke up shocked. It was hilarious seeing the reactions to everybody on the Pacific Coast waking up and seeing all these reactions and being like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Is this a joke? Oh my god! It's not a joke."
Yeah.
This is huge. Like, I really hope this puts to rest any more rumors of Microsoft buying studios, because we are teetering on the precipice of them having a monopoly, I think.
Yeah.
With buying a publisher, like buying a couple small studios that were in trouble, fine, whatever. I think when you start buying a publisher, though, especially, and you're throwing billions around, it's not millions, you're throwing billions around.
Yeah.
That changes the game to me. They bought this for two. This is the metric I used. They bought it for two Star Warses, or 3 Minecrafts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this is kind of the last point I guess I want to make about this. There's plenty to celebrate here. There's plenty to be cautious about. And I think Kat Bailey from US Gamer summed it up really well. She says, these two things can both simultaneously be true. One, this is an incredible pickup for Microsoft. It's an incredible move for Bethesda and for ZeniMax. Microsoft has proven they can steward studios like Mojang, like In Exile, like Obsidian, and Ninja Theory, and like frankly make those studios better than they were on their own. And also, to be increasingly wary of just scooping up studios rather than cultivating your own talent and creativity.
Yeah.
That's why I really hope that, sure, Bethesda's going to continue to do their own thing. I expect that. ZeniMax Online will continue to do their own thing. I really hope these other studios, as much as I like Wolfenstein, as much as I like Doom, I hope that they put those franchises kind of on the back burner for a little bit, and do some new IPs. I think that these studios are rich for I mean, Phil said in a statement like there are so many unannounced projects you guys don't know about yet from these studios that I can't wait for you to see. Um, and man, I'm so curious to see what happens. This is I'm literally I'm still in disbelief. I'm half convinced I'm going to wake up in the morning and this was all just a dream.
Yeah. I mean, this news, like I said, like it makes like I wish they would have waited till Wednesday to announce this, so I could it would have made that box easier to pre-order on tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they clearly let Sony have their moment last week, and that's the other thing that's hilarious. Like, Deathloop was shown during that presentation,
Yeah.
and they showed a little bit of footage in their sizzle reel of Ghostwire. They announced Fallout 4 is going to be one of the PS Plus Select titles. Like,
Right.
this is hilarious to me. Like, Sony clearly had no idea this was happening.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, why would they? Like, your chief rival is about to buy these up. This is a move that, and this is going to be a controversial opinion. I think with the addition of these, obviously we still need to see output from Xbox's acquired studios that they've got. But the track record of the majority of these studios now, with Ninja Theory, with Playground Games, Turn 10, Undead Labs, and now the entire Bethesda and ZeniMax suite, that I mean, I think they're up there finally with PlayStation in terms of talent. There's no disputing that to me. Um, Obviously, I think that's going to be a controversial opinion. And it's very clear Xbox is playing their own game here. They are going to focus on Western RPGs. They're going to focus on first and third person shooters. They're going to focus on their racing suite. And then they're going to have other random titles to fill that. It is.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna have those. They're gonna have those in between titles, like.
Yeah.
I mean, Psychonauts 2 multiplat, but like they're gonna have those smaller that Battletoads.
They're going to have smaller titles. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see another game like Wolfenstein Youngblood or Wolfenstein The Old Blood.
Yeah.
Like some Doom VR. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a standalone Doom spinoff or something. Hell, maybe you can let id make a standalone Gears spinoff. Like, I'd love to see some smaller titles. They're like, 6 to 8 hours. You said one about Fireteam Osiris. Shoot, that doesn't even have to be a full length game. Make it an 8 hour campaign, and there you go. Like, it's an 8 hour campaign DLC. It's like $15-20.
Yeah.
People set that up right away.
Yeah. Like I would love to see, like, especially like acquiring first person shooter studios, like, and you have one of the, regardless of how you feel about Halo now, like it's still one of the most recognizable first person shooters out there.
Yeah.
And it has the Star Wars mentality of like, there's such a huge universe and you're still focusing on this small like group of people. Like there's other things happening in the Halo universe. Let's go see what,
Well, I mean,
or like what was Blue Team doing in between Halo 4 and 5? Like, how did Master Chief find Blue Team? Why can't you make like a maybe you're playing as one of Blue Team and you're rounding up the other two to go find Master Chief or something? You know what I mean? Like,
I think there's definitely things that are ripe for it. It's important to remember they did acquire a mobile studio as well, with Fallout Shelter and Legends and Blades, like we talked about. Hopefully they just shut Elder Scrolls Blades down, because that's just such an embarrassment. But the other two open up some interesting avenues. Maybe finally bring Legends to consoles. I'd love to see that personally. I actually kind of enjoy it a little bit. Yeah, man. I don't know. I really want to see these studios do something different. I think this is the time. Like, I was talking about this with Ray earlier. I think that the concerns for Xbox to need a Last of Us or an Uncharted or a God of War is just, I think, frankly, it's overblown. And right now, I think that's a ridiculous argument to make in light of today's announcements. There are other types of AAA Game of the Year style games, and they are not all third-person action games from Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica. I mean, I think they're trying their hand at an open world game similar to Horizon with Everwild.
see, I think Hellblade 2 is going to be something
I
like Horizon.
I don't think anyone's ready for Hellblade 2. And my personal hope out of all this is if they do make a third-person action game, I think they have the perfect team for it, and I think that team is Arcane.
Arcane.
Yes, I think Arcane is going to be the studio that does that. I know we all think like, oh, the Initiative is making a game in the perfect dark universe. Like, sure, that may be Game of the Year contender, but if you're going to have somebody create an original, rich story, I really think that Arcane is primed to do it after the Dishonored series. So, I man, this is this is crazy. This was just one of like three announcements today. They talked about the future of the controllers in the design lab. There's going to be remote play to Android devices now. This is just
By the way, that
it's
shock blue controller for the Xbox Series X.
how fast are you going to smash that pre-order button, Corey?
I mean, I'm gonna probably get two of them, honestly.
Oh my God, you are a menace to society.
The thing
I'm
is,
absolutely
I mean, the thing is like I have a console to trade in. I have look, I sold $2,000 worth of stuff. I'm going all out on this thing, right? Like I'm doing it. I'm getting everything I need. I'm getting those battery chargers. I'm getting those. I have a headset that works because Ed got me a headset because he's a crazy idiot. I don't know. Not to say
yeah.
that. I didn't mean that in a
Absolutely ordering a
derogatory way.
battery pack tomorrow, and I'm planning to order one of the white controllers. My white controller with my 1S is my absolute favorite controller I've ever owned,
Mm-hmm.
game wise. And I'm devastated that I have to trade it in. So I may, frankly, just trade in the new controller and keep the old one.
Like I'm
I
really
love
glad that they like talk. Let's talk about the design lab stuff real quick. I'm really glad because like I think we literally just talked about it on the show last night. I'm like, what are they going to do with this?
this. Yeah,
Yeah, like what are they going to do with Design Lab? And like they announced today, what, October 1st, they're shutting it down to prep for probably. I'm assuming
October 14th.
yeah,
October 14th, and it'll be shut down until early 2021.
yeah, which I'm assuming they're prepping for the Series X controllers, right? I mean, that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's the assumption here. And I mean, kind of going further into the conspiracy, I think with them launching then, I think they're going to have character specific designs you can put on them. I fully think they plan to have this out relatively along the side of Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Spy did list 3 SKUs yesterday for Halo Infinite: the digital version, the disc version, and then the disc version with a steel book and a statue,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Best Buy exclusive bundle. I don't know. I think there's supposed to be another announcement this week, if that stuff's already being listed. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Man, I just I can't get over this.
I
They're
know.
officially the home of RPGs and FPSs now. Because on top of that, you have the EA Play deal, which includes Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Titanfall, and Battlefield,
And the sports games.
and Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. I man, this I think this puts to rest the rumors of acquiring Bloober Team. I don't think it quite is the nail in the coffin for Asobo. I think that's the only other company that they will look to acquire in the next like 5 years,
Who?
simply because of
Who
the held
just?
success of Flight. You'd be
Oh.
stupid not to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Plague Tale. I mean, Plague Tale Innocence was awesome too.
Yeah.
But after Flight Sim is getting perfect scores, why wouldn't you go acquire the company that made it? They've literally figured out how to use your cloud technology.
Yeah.
Um, I think in my mind this closes the door on Don't Nod for now. And I mean, as we said earlier, like Bungie is the ultimate wild card here. I think if you do acquire Bungie, though, I think at that point, rightfully, people start looking at you as a monopoly.
Yeah.
So Microsoft, don't do it. I think you're right there on the precipice. You have 23 studios. Like
Yeah.
Phil's goal of having a game every 6 to 8 weeks is about to be a reality.
Yeah.
I don't even know, and that's not counting any external partnerships they do, like where they publish a Don't Nod game, for example,
Yeah.
or they partner with Interior Night. Like, I don't. I think that now it's like, okay, I look back on the Xbox showcase in July, and I think I see it in a little bit of a different light. And I know that's not how you're supposed to do this, but now I'm like, well, man, if Microsoft was trying to acquire Bethesda back then, like maybe that kind of explains how light they were on third-party content.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to outright buy the freaking studios and publishers.
Yeah. It's
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
I mean, when the Bungie rumor was going around, we were talking about like look how big Bungie is. Like how can you pay for the overhead and switching insurance plans and running the studio and making sure everything is transferring over nicely, and then they go and buy Bethesda, which is like
Right.
what, probably double the size of Bungie at this point.
Bethesda has, yeah, I don't know how much Bethesda has, but ZeniMax total has 2,300 employees.
Yeah. So
That I honestly think that they just acquired a publishing and design base that is literally might have been bigger than the entire Xbox Game Studios brand.
yeah, I mean,
Because I mean, a lot of the studios that they acquired are like 40 to 80 people, and that's it.
yeah, I mean, what their biggest studios are, what, the Coalition and
343.
343 probably, and like, I mean,
I think Turn 10. So
Turn 10, yeah. Well, I don't think Turn 10 is like as big as people think they are. I think they're sitting around 100 people.
I think Turn 10 is a little bit bigger though because they've been doing R&D on the next Forza engine.
Right.
And they have flat out said that a lot of people from Turn 10 are not only working on the engine, but they're consulting with Playground to build the next engine also, so it can be used in both games.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm so curious now. I need to see what Compulsion is working on. I need to see what the initiative's working on. I'm so insanely curious for the next couple of years of this industry look like. But yeah, this solidifies that there is no bad place to play now.
Well, what studios do we like? What studios don't we know their projects for? We know, like, we don't know the Initiative. We don't know Compulsion.
Initiative, Compulsion. We don't know what In Exile's post Wasteland project is.
Right.
They're one making with Unreal 5. We don't know that. We don't know. It was kind of alluded that Mojang may be working on something else because they were not at the event. And they're like, we have something from all of our studios, and they weren't there. Mm-hmm. World's Edge wasn't there, but they are working on Age of Empires 4 as well as AoE 3 Definitive Edition. There was one more. I always forget which one this is, and I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Well, we know Ninja Theory's working on Hellblade and Project Mara.
Coalition was not there.
Yeah,
that already came out, so I mean, it's a safe assumption Coalition is working on Gear 6. Let's just assume that.
Yeah, but they have a smaller team now within there that they say might be working on something else.
I hope they are. I hope they're working on a non-Gears game, personally.
Remember, I wonder if they're going to try to work on that game that they, like, when they were still Black Tusk.
Ooh,
Shanghai or whatever, I think it was what it was called.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do that. And that's something else I like about a lot of these studios is, like, in Obsidian and Ninja Theory, you have, like, little teams of 10 people pop up and make their own game. Like, Grounded was 13 people. Mm-hmm. Edge was 15 people. Like, okay, Bleeding Edge is a really bad example, but Grounded was 13 people. Mm-hmm. I think then Microsoft is like, well, we're willing to take a risk on this because you're still making your marquee games. You're still making Hellblade and Project Mara. You're still making Outer Worlds content, and you're making Avowed. Like, I think this is really cool. Like, there's so many possibilities with these teams, and I mean, Bethesda or I just call them Bethesda at this point. They have two smaller teams that they just spun up. One is a mobile division, and one is Roundhouse Studios, I think, which is a support studio. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try their hand at a small game. Mm-hmm. One important thing we should note is this is not something that takes effect immediately. They have entered into an agreement. They have signed the agreement. It still has to pass all the legalities, and it will not likely clear until Q1, maybe Q2 of 2021. Mm-hmm. That is really important to note, but they basically vindicated, like, hey, legacy titles that are on Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox 360 are going to come to Game Pass. So, man, remaster Morrowind, please.
Yeah.
Remaster Oblivion.
Before we kind of get out of here, do you think Microsoft will acquire anybody else? I mean, besides the Flight Simulator team.
The only two that I think they would, the only one I think they're actually seriously looking at post Bethesda is Asobo. Mm-hmm. I think Don't Nod is a possibility, but I mean that's my own perspective. There's been no hints to Don't Nod being open to being acquired or anything, so nobody write a story and run with us, or go spreading around that I said this.
It's literally the title of the episode.
I think the door is definitely open for Bungie, but I think it's swung almost all the way shut. I think there's definitely still a crack there, and I think there's definitely room for a big deal. Even if it's not acquiring Bungie, I think it's acquiring Matter personally. Mm-hmm. to keep them in the family, and then maybe we relook at this in like 8 years or something at the end of the generation. Other than that, though, I think this permanently closes the door on Bloober Team, which I don't ever want to talk negatively about a studio, but I feel like they're kind of dodging a bullet there.
Yeah.
Unless the medium is just like outstanding.
Yeah.
I think that they are dodging a massive bullet. So we'll see. But no, I think that absolutely Asobo and maybe Don't Nod are the only two. Maybe Interior Night, depending on how much they like how As Dusk Falls is shaping up. But
yeah, you don't think they would require somebody like Certain Affinity?
No, I don't think they're going to require Certain Affinity. So hang on.
So, all right. Well, that's kind of what happened today. That was this is. I think I'm going to try to get this up as fast as possible. So if you're watching live, yeah, you know what to do. I am going to post this on our on the Arsenal X podcast feed. It's going to go up before our episode, I think, of Arsenal X proper. So you'll probably have 2 episodes waiting in your feed.
Yeah, we debated about backing this on, but we had too much to talk about.
Yeah, so it's a big deal. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to I'm kind of sad that I bought all those Bethesda games during their sale like 3 weeks ago now or 4 weeks ago, whenever that was. So
I mean, so you still get to play them. So
no, I know, but
instead of waiting until probably next year when the deal clears.
Yeah.
But that does beg the question of how quick do you think Doom Eternal drops? Like the second that deal is signed, do you think it just shows up?
I think it'll be on Game Pass the day that Series X comes out with their enhancements.
So my other like last second theory is for the future of Elder Scrolls Online, I could see them doing like they do with Destiny.
Yeah.
And giving the expansions to Game Pass members.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would absolutely grow it instantly. Like, hey, maybe I think that opens the door for a Game Pass perk. Like, hey, here's some atoms for 76. Here's some crowns for Elder Scrolls Online. Like, that would get me back into those games. Just saying.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, and hopefully nothing else breaks while we're trying to sleep tonight.
Yes, please. I can't do this every night anymore. I can't.
I can't. Microsoft, I need you to stop. This has been going on.
I need you to slow down. I need you to put enough boxes out there for me to pre-order, and then you can do whatever you want. I want one of those. I want one of those blue controllers. I want one of those white controllers, and look, we'll call it even. Okay. Right, Phil. Right.
Yeah. Phil, we know you listen.
He did listen. I said I want a blue Xbox Series X controller, and he made one. So.
Yeah, he made one real fast too.
I know he did. Dude. Those controllers are so sexy. I'm sorry.
One last note, like as we're getting out of here, did you see that quietly tucked into that announcement, they said that they hit 15 million Game Pass subs?
Yeah.
And I like what Jason Schreier said. He goes, this acquisition was less about beating the PlayStation 5 and more about quadrupling that Game Pass number.
Yeah. Dude, Mark Carabin, friend of the show, he does co-op mode with Todd Oxtra over at Secret Friends Unite. And he was like, so they said Game Pass hit 15 million subscribers. After this acquisition, how fast do you think it gets to 20 million? And then he's just like 30 million, 40 million.
I think 20 million I think people are going to jump the gun and do it immediately. And then when they remind everybody next spring that, hey, we just finished signing this deal. Look at all these awesome games coming to Game Pass now. And here's our plans for the rest of the year. Like, it's at a certain point, Microsoft is going to have to do like 2 separate big presentations in a year because they just have too damn many studios now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bethesda had their own show. Let that sink in for a minute. So,
yeah. You literally bought a whole E3 press conference every year.
You literally bought the what is it? The Sunday night slot, the Sunday 9 p.m. Central slot is what you bought.
Yeah.
So. They needed 2 presentations to tell us about ray tracing and puddle textures.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and download Arsenal X on your podcast service every Tuesday morning. This week you're gonna listen to us rant about 2 hours or so about us trying to pre-order this stupid box. So,
right.
So we'll see you next time on Arsenal X. Thanks for watching. Bye.